Right. Hello, this is John Speelman with the video version of my latest column for ChessBase, number 212. So for people who use imperial units, I'm not sure if it is an imperial unit. Anyway, who use Fahrenheit, that's the boiling point of water. And there we are, how very fascinating. And it's 212, and I've entitled it. We can see we're recording, so let's go to it. I've entitled it The Joy of Innumeracy. And as I explain, it's about sacrificing the exchange. So, mainly the exchange, but sacrifices in general. And when I was about to write it, I thought, when have I written about the exchange before? I must have done. And I looked at my list of past columns. I have a complete list, which is useful. However, the titles are quite opaque. Sometimes I know what they mean, sometimes I don't. And I had to go back to number 132, which was in, whenever it was, October 2020, before I found something which was called When 3 is Greater Than 5, which I deduced must be about exchange sacrifices, and indeed it was. So following on for that, I'm writing about the joys of innumeracy, and I've got 2 games from the 4NCL last weekend. I've got a lovely win by William Claridge Hanson playing top board for Oxford against Constantine Lupulescu. Big upset. I mean, of course, Manx Liberty crushed Oxford as you'd expect, but there was this win on board 1 as black by the Speelman master against the Grand Master. Then I've got my own game from Sunday against David Eggleton, and that features an exchange sacrifice which actually I didn't invent myself. They're not in quite the same position. And then, it's one of the joys of teaching, which I do a lot of now, that people show me things. A guy showed me a game he'd seen on YouTube by a Chinese girl, a 14-year-old Chinese girl, who I should have heard of, but actually hadn't, rather disgracefully. And so I sorry, I don't know why that's happened. She's called Miaoyi, however you pronounce her, and she's a really dangerous player. She is 14 this month. She was almost 2400 a year ago, and she played a very brilliant game against Lilith McCutcheon, the Armenian IM, then she also, the game that she just recently played, she beat up an Italian Grandmaster in an Open. And I can see that I have misspelt his name, rather I put a comma into his name. So let's at least, while we're here, sort that out. And so I'm going to have those games. I don't think there's much else to say really, so let's start. So I've got these 3 games. The first is this one on top board, Manx Liberty against Oxford. Wood Green are leading still after the last weekend. My team with whatever he got, 12 out of 12 match, no, yeah, 12 out of 12 match points. We're ahead of Manx Liberty and the Sharks, and we've beaten the Sharks, but we've got Manx Liberty to play in the last weekend, which is in May, so in 2 weekends' time of the 4NCL. So this game, he tried c3. You can take, of course, if you want to, on d5, perfectly possible, and d4. And by playing d4, you avoid main lines of the advanced French, which because white would play d4 the move after, and it's playable. I don't know, there are other things you can do. Knight a3, let's do reference. I thought maybe bishop b5. I think you can maybe win a pawn, but it's not great. Bishop d3 is the main move. There are a lot of moves. Okay, so what happened was that g5 was played, That's great that he played g5 against a grandmaster. People tend to be a bit shy about playing moves like that against stronger players, whereas actually winding your opponent up is really a good thing to do when they're a stronger player. You know, Lupulescu would love to just play a nice positional game and beat this guy up slowly. But instead he's now being threatened, his e-pawn is on prise. It's all very messy. Queen to there, h5. I don't know if that's a good move or not. Presumably, anyway, he went knight e1 at once. Queen to there, f4, takes knight f3. So at the cost of a pawn, maybe temporarily, white has defended the e5 pawn. It's not terribly good. Knight h6, rook e1, and actually the engine really dislikes this move, which is a surprise to me. It looks like a fairly natural move. So I'm surprised the engine is really very down on it. But later, of course, a few moves later, he ends up playing rook e1 to f1. So perhaps he should have tried to reserve that square for the other rook. c3, trying to fight. a6 is useful, stops knight b5. Bishop b2, not a good move. I think knight c2 is a better move, because now if you take on c3, d takes, you're immediately hitting f4. Whereas after bishop b2 and he took, then you don't get to hit, you're not hitting f4. He took with the bishop, b5, knight c2, queen a7 with a very subtle threat. Rook to there. And I think some point white, so eventually rook to f1 to e1 has cost white 2 tempi. The annoying bishop h7 apparently kept the position in balance. That's makes sense, doesn't it? It looks like white has a reasonable position. He's not going to get mated in g2 at least. What happened was that white kept on postponing bishop b4. b4 fought for the square, for the d4 square. That would have been a good idea, I think. Knight g1. He thinks he's got time to get control. Now it's getting a bit dangerous now, because if you go bishop b4, takes b4 back, rook takes is definitely better for black by now. Knight e2 is given here. Not a very happy little move. I suppose it's forced. Queen to there. This is foul for white because all black's pieces are good. White's hemmed in. He should lose, really, I think. Queen to there. It gives it as minus plus, I think. Suddenly you're coming in. You're all over him. It's really unpleasant. e5's going horrible. So, actually, when he went knight e1, queen b7. So now white is finally almost organised and ready to play bishop b4 next move. And given the topic of the column, it shouldn't be that hard to see the lovely move he played to forestall black forestall white before white could get control of the position. Played the excellent exchange sacrifice, rook takes d3. Really nice move. I think maybe easier even to play in a blitz game than in a proper game, because in a proper game you can start thinking about it, whereas in blitz you just know you've got to play it. Queen takes. Now he got it wrong actually, he played c4. He should just have gone b4, bishop back, knight h4. Hitting g2. This is actually quite a catastrophe. If you go rook f2, rook takes g2, smashing through. Takes that, takes, is about the best you can do, I think. Take, rook or something, knight to there. Don't know if queen, I don't know why it doesn't go queen f1 here. There must be a reason that queen f1 is, because it's looking at rook g1, knight to there, queen to there, knight h4 is going to win. So if you go queen f1, is there some immediate kill? Oh, I think you can go, yeah, you can take and play f3 and knight g4, and that's the end of the universe. That's right, of course. So he goes here, knight to there, queen to there, and you can either go h4, which is very good. Actually, h4 is just winning, isn't it, at this point? Knight h4. I think you can maybe get your move order different for white and prevent. But this is enough. And now f3 is probably even better than queen takes queen. The queen takes queen is certainly winning. If you went queen takes queen as black, you'd arrange to get in f6 eventually, and then you'd get to a winning pawn ending without too much trouble, I think. But yeah, you'd be a pawn up in a pawn ending, which is going to be winning always when there's no particular mitigating factor. But he went c4, takes bishop c5, trying to teeing up to play bishop takes knight. And here white missed the move, the really annoying move, bishop a5. When apparently, I mean, I haven't even really looked at this, sort of king f8. There's this line is one line. Oh, it's all got really messy. Apparently this is about equal. I mean, it's all got to be a right mess from being absolutely clean. But he missed bishop a5. I mean, sometimes the engineers can't be bothered to analyse because it's just a sideline, really. He went here, h4, and now the guy played d4, which is a mistake. Knight h3, it says rook g3. It's given us the move. This rather magnificent line. And this is given as equal, which seems reasonable. You're going to be able to play something like bishop takes knight and queen e4 if you want to. I assume that's what you do. Let's just have a couple more moves. Do you keep the pin or do you play bishop takes knight? Oh, great one. Has to go. He says bishop takes is equal. Bishop takes, rook takes, queen e4. Not sorry. Somebody's talking to me, but I'll talk to them in a bit. Delete remaining moves. Delete remaining moves. Queen e4. Bishop e3. Sclam. It's best move apparently. F takes. D takes. Queen d3 equals. It's a reasonable assessment, isn't it? Got a lot of checks as black. Okay, that's equal. Okay, so he went d4. Takes, takes, takes. Can't take it. Queen to there. Knight to there. That's got this fantastic diagonal. It's just horrible. He tried cb5, rook f2, bc4 you can play if you want to. I mean, it's just very bad. bc4. If queen c4, I think probably something very unpleasant happens. Can we go this position? We can go h3 or rook f2, h3, knight h3, knight takes f3. Splat! What? I don't know what happened there. Bishop takes b5 happened. Giving up in the diagonal, but still very strong. Rook b1 was a better try. h3 here, and finally the culmination of the attack is when the two lines meet at the focal point. You've been playing on the g file and along white diagonal, and now these lines meet, and that is basically the end of the game. I mean, okay, you want to try king takes, but after check here, takes is completely fatal, because now if king f2, queen b6 check is actually mate next move. No squares for the white king at all, so it's better to take with that horse. It wasn't obvious instantly which horse you should take with, but that is the one you should take with. So, tried knight f4, rook back, knight h5, take, check, king to here. And white resigned because very, very bad things indeed are happening to him. Very obviously. I don't know if rook e4, you could play rook takes and take an f1 at the end. There's nothing really to discuss. So, very nice game by white indeed. So I'm just going to put the light on so I can see my keyboard properly. Right. Okay, that was the first one. Then the second game is my game from the Sunday, also win by black, against David Eggleston, who interestingly I hadn't actually played before. And I said, in this game I found myself, I'm going to turn it around because I was playing black. I found myself playing a main line as black, which doesn't happen very often. And because it's one of my main lines, I haven't said very much about it, because, you know, it's something I play. But I have kind of given you a couple of pointers. And I said he usually plays c4 rather than bishop d3. Okay, take here. So I've pointed out that if you go queen a5, check b4, queen takes pawn, knight d2, then basically there are two lines. Either you play queen b5 when they can play e6, which is, although the queen's come off, this position's pretty unpleasant, I think. Well, I lost it very, very badly once, and I haven't played it since. Or you can go e6, when Magnus Carlsen has played this position. And I don't know, I think but there was a game he had, I think, with Jordan van Verriesteman, is one game. If we go to reference, I think we'll find that. Elo Black, here we are, Van Verriest Carlsen. Let's copy, well, I won't even copy that in. But that's there. So it's very dangerous. So I played e6, and this allows white can play knight d2. Then you can go queen. We'll see. You can go queen a5 to either a6 or b6, a6 or b5. But now white gets this bishop on g5, and after this you really have to take this pawn. Now the thing is, rook b1 looks more natural, but the thing is that in this position you can take on c4. Because now this is okay. Whereas if the rook's in d1, then rook takes d7 wins. That's the reason, and f3 and knight to there, and black is annihilated. So that's why white plays rook d1. So I thought I'd tell you that. Knight to here, knight to there, queen to there. Black can try to bail out with queen a3, but this is pretty wimbly. I've said wimbly. Wimbly is the word I wanted. Wimbly is perhaps not a very normal English word, but it means sort of weak and wobbly. And after, well, white has good chances. So I played the main line. And apparently my opponent had prepared c takes d4, which is, I think this has been played more than cd4, even if cd4 is the engine's top choice. So they played queen b3. I was wondering during the game, I couldn't remember whether it mattered whether white took on d5 now or later. It seems it doesn't. You play bishop e7. He did take. Right, so this was the critical position. And there was this game, I knew about the game, Rager against Bluebaum. I couldn't remember which way round they were, but it was Marcus Rager as white against Matthias Bluebaum, if I've not mispronounced him too horribly, or them too horribly. And I knew about an idea. In fact, Rager played rook e1, queen b4 here, and then played this wonderful move. What happened was he didn't take the exchange, and they played some sort of game where he gave perpetual check. Okay. So I've also said that the other moves you can play are e6 and rook h3. I think those are the most critical moves. Possibly even g3, I suppose, as well. I don't know if the engine, what it thinks about g3. Let's just ask it about g3, because g3 might make rook h6 more problematical. Just occurred to me now. What does the engine have to say about this? It wants to go queen a4 actually, or even queen e5. Okay, queen a4 it wants to go. Right, I'll tell you, because I'll give you that for free, because that just occurred to me. Anyway, e6 or rook h3 are the other moves, and if you want to analyse them, you can. You're very welcome. But I played rook h6, which is Bluebaum's idea, and at the time I thought taking it would be pretty bad, because I didn't see the white can play queen a6 to e2 as a defence. But even if I had seen it, I would have played it pretty quickly, because I knew that the position was perfectly playable. And okay, so he played g3, which is a mistake. King g1's a move, but I go rook e6. Actually, this is less. I assumed this would be really quite nice for me, but there's this idea. Now I can't go queen h4 because of the annoying rook f4. So I have to play. Why is that true? Why the hell is that true? Because if knight g4, there's knight f3. That's why it's true. So I end up doing this here, here, and then there happens to be the move rook e4. This is all very random, of course. I think you have to take with it, because if you take with the knight, there's a rook d1 check and a knight g4 check, and things are going rather wrong. Or maybe knight g4 first. And this is a little bit better for black, but playable. But the main question is, can you play bishop h6? And I analysed it really with an engine afterwards. So I'd looked at queen a3, knight to there, queen to there, c4, and I was pretty happy about this. And I'm right to be. But you should go queen a6. Knight g4 is definitely the move. Then you can either play queen checks and then queen e2, or you can play queen e2 immediately. So there's queen checks, king to here, queen to there. He just likes to play queen e5, which I'd have been a bit loath to, but I have got two very good connected passed pawns, it's true. If c4... there's a line where if you c4 you can play knight takes if c4 you can go knight takes c4, queen takes c4, queen takes, pawn takes, rook takes, bishop takes, and because of the outside passed pawn equals, apparently. So that makes a difference. Whereas if he doesn't give check, and this, I'll just show you a line. This is a fairly typical line, which is completely equal, of course. But he played g3, which is a mistake. And now I get to play check and there. I did consider rook a6, but very, very briefly, because it seemed just such a stupid thing to do. Because now I've got a clear advantage. I've got equal material, his a pawn is loose and more or less lost, and I've got two connected passed pawns. Takes, knight to there, c4, knight to there, knight c6, it says is the best. And this is, basically I can get control if I'm careful, after which I should be winning. I mean, by now, if he played knight d6, I could just take it, I think. I don't know. Does he want to take it, or does he want to go knight to there? Just rook takes d6, yeah. Takes, and look at it. Look at those babies. Those babies are going to run, aren't they? And they're going to run fast and true. And this is minus plus, as you can see. Sort of fairly obviously, I think. he went knight b3 at once. I went f6. I thought c4, knight d4 was a bit messy. C4, knight d4. Yeah, I can still play f6 actually there. But why would I? So I went f6 immediately. Take, take. I wasn't sure that knight takes wasn't quite good as well, but I think this is better. Now apparently he should have gone bishop b3, which I didn't particularly realise. d4, bishop f4. I thought my rook would be good on d5, but he gets a bit of pressure against my pawns. He went there, in fact. I had this pawn, not so much to win the pawn as to destabilise his knight. Nice to destabilise the knight. Rook c1 probably not the best move. Here's rook a1 or something. Oh, the thing I did notice is that g4, trying to get past h-pawn, loses to rook a4, king to there, rook to there. That I did notice, and you win a piece now. So that would be a disaster. He went rook c1, c4 here. I thought about playing bishop c5, knight e6 and trying to navigate the tactics. Then I thought, you stupid man, and played king f7. He went there, which surprised me a little bit. It seemed to me to be quite helpful. He went check, not necessarily right. Maybe he could have moved back, knight e7 and then rook b5. But he went check. I mean, it's a very bad position. Rook to there is a good idea. Is it the first choice? It is the first choice of the great engine. And his problem is basically that I took, because the knight's the best blockader. And he played a good move. He played rook b5, and I played c3. So, actually, could I play knight f5 here? I think he'd go back, and it would be annoying, because then he'd threaten rook b6. He wouldn't play rook d5 because of king e6. But, okay, so I went c3, and here he should have tried rook b6 as the last chance. Because if I go c2, then the game does continue. I think rook to there. Maybe there's g4 as well. I mean, it looks like I should be winning, but it's a little bit of a mess. d4, king f3, d3, rook d6, knight c6. It's all a bit messy. I'm defending my pawn with knight forks and all sorts of stuff, which I don't want to do. Knight g8's a stockfish, which I missed, I have to say. And f5 actually is the move I'd probably have played. Is perfectly good. Rook to there, and he can't really defend himself. If he goes rook d6, then I can go c2, and well, I don't know. Maybe he tries rook d6 here. Let's go c2. No, that's right, c2, bishop to there. I just go here. And that's the end of that, because he can't stop my rook from winning the bishop. And I keep 2 pawns, so it's fine. Okay, so what actually happened was he went bishop b3 at once. I went king g6 to give my knight a square. Rook back. Knight to there, bishop to there, rook to there, king f1. And here c2, if rook c1, I can still take on f4 if I want to, or I can play knight b4, knight d4 as well. So at this point I want to play rook takes bishop, and it's just a question of calculating it and making sure it works, because you know, why wouldn't I play rook takes bishop if it wins? So I had a little think, and I did. Rook takes, knight to there, threatens to queen the pawn here. He can't go king to e1 to d2 because I fork him, so he's got to go there. And crucially now I play that, and he's in Zugzwang. Actually, the engine says it's winning even if I have to play king e5. It's my move, but of course it's trivial in this position. And I won. So quite a decent game by me, and not my exchange sacrifice, but an interesting game. Just check I haven't... Yeah, okay. The last game, this game from an Open, the Seville Open, on the 16th of January, apparently. This very, very dangerous young Chinese girl. She really rated 2252. I thought she was rated. I thought I looked her up and she was 2366 again. I don't know. Anyway. Maybe, I think I picked it up from Leach. Where did I pick it up from? Anyway. She played Queen G4 against Makurchian. This is, of course, the main move. It's all perfectly playable. So, I mean, I don't know this much about this position. All I know is that she's a magnificent hacker. Taking aim a little bit. Castle's long. That's pretty brave here. F5. And now she plays the splendid move, Knight G5. The engine goes, beep! I don't like that. But I don't care. I love the move. Even if it's complete nonsense. Takes, takes. And now actually the engine would like to give the material back immediately. And says that this is about equal. Which is fair enough. That would be quite a sensible thing to do actually in the circumstances. But she went CD4, CD4, he went. He must have thought, my God, what is this girl doing? And it is clear what she's doing. She is hacking vigorously. F4 was played. Trying to get counterplay, but the open diagonal, this opens the diagonal for the queen. Opens the diagonal for the queen, and apparently bishop to d7, I mean, not f7. Sorry about that. My typing is terrible. I use typing software nowadays, dictation software, but doesn't work very well with chess. If anybody has a command set for dictating chess into Dragon dictation, then please tell me, because it would save me a lot of time. I don't think anybody will. I couldn't find it on the net. Anyway, the game continued merrily. Queen to there. Apparently knight f4 was just better for white. That's what white should have done. I mean, none of this is at all obvious. The game obviously continues after rook b8. What does happen after rook b8? You just take the knight and then carry on with your vigorous plans. Rook b8, yeah. Bishop takes knight. Pawn takes bishop. Rook dh1, c3, and now something horrid. Somehow. So how's he doing this? He's going check and check, and you can't take the pawn, which is bad luck. And then you go king a1. So they have to go cb2 check, because if rook takes, you just take the bishop. Presumably, so if rook takes, check, king to there, rook takes that. I don't know. Knight to b4, rook takes c3. And apparently white is winning. I mean, you can see white ought to be winning, but you're never quite sure in a position like this. You got bishop c1 as a defence as well, which is a nice thing. Okay, so he should have done that, but she went queen c1, threatening bishop g7 to get the queen in quickly. Bishop to there. g4, because at the moment you can't play bishop g7 because of bishop g5. And now he took, which is correct. If rook f2, bishop g7, have to try this. And basically there ain't no defence. To queen h6 check. It is the end of the game. So rook takes, bishop e8, g7, check here, knight b4, a3. Knight c2 check. Now apparently king a2 was just a draw, but she played the magnificent queen takes knight. And I did point out that at this stage black has 9 for a queen plus 5 for a rook is 14, plus 3 minor pieces is 23, and white has 10 and 6 is 16. So black is in under the old scoring system, at least, maybe a queen's worth a bit more, even 23 to 16 down. But she has a nice attack, and it's not actually working. You should play king h7 now. Queen d8 was my first thought, and it's actually quite good for what do you play? You play knight f4, knight d2, and black's much better. Yeah, black should be winning. That's a sensible move, and king h7 actually is winning, apparently. That's really hard to see. In a time scramble, probably, I'm imagining. King h7. Because the bishop covers h7 is the thing. And you run out of things to do. Not so easy to see, though. I mean, you know, I can see why he didn't. He blocked the dial, and now he should have recaptured. At the moment, it's okay. Now he must go e takes f5. How does it go? E takes f5, knight g3, f4. And you can't play rook takes is the problem. And something, let's try, I don't know, knight f, bishop takes f4, knight takes a3, and apparently this is a draw now, which makes sense. Bishop h6, you've gained a tempo, haven't you? So, let's see, c4 check, knight to there, check. I can believe this is a draw. Bishop takes, queen takes, check, and takes or something. But he went there, and now not only are you covering f7, but also the rook defends laterally. And this leads to an incident. Rook to there. Don't know, does it have to be that rook? Any rook. Check here, check here, check here, check. So if king takes pawn, you just go rook g1 check, don't you? Or actually rook g1 check. King to there, rook to there check is clearly enough. So rook g3, threatening mate in one move, check here, check here, check, knight c3. I don't think it matters, does it? Could you used to play king f2? Of course you could. But then they'd play rook f8 check and Millie be totally lost. So knight c3, and he had to resign. So an absolutely brilliant game by this girl. Sorry, I put control when I meant to control. It's control S, it being chess base 17. Brilliant game, which I hope you've enjoyed as much as I did when I first saw it. I'm still enjoying it when I see it now. Okay, so we're now finished. This will go out. I'm actually doing this on Thursday the 15th. It'll go out on Sunday the 18th. So the next one will be the 32nd of February, which, since there are 29 days, it being a leap year, is the 3rd of March. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you in a fortnight's time.